Experience the warmth. It's closer than you think.
Maybe you're headed to the Bahamas on Wednesday. If you have a stopover in any city in the U.S., here's a look at Wednesday. Boston -1, clear conditions. New York clear as well for now. Things get messy, though, on Thursday. Denver 7. Los Angeles is seeing some rain showers Wednesday and into Thursday. But how about this? NASA is getting up to 21 degrees on Wednesday. We are seeing a bit of cloud cover, but if you're headed to Kingston, 29 with some showers. Santiago getting up to 31 with clear skies. We'll take you west first, where we are seeing snowfall really starting to ramp up Wednesday into Thursday. Whistler itself could be seeing on Thursday 25 centimeters of snow. So look at this. Through higher elevations, could be looking at 63 centimeters as the week goes on. So some fresh powder out west. We still have some additional lake effect bands coming off of Huron and Georgian Bay through the morning. An additional 5 to 10 on the high end, and things start to taper off as the day goes on. And in Newfoundland, still seeing some snow through the Avalon, but also easing today. In Ontario, still have some lake effect snow bands to contend with for the morning commute, particularly Kincardine towards Goderich, even Waterloo. An additional 5 to 10, and that would be on the high end. As for Hamilton, you could see trace amounts through your Wednesday. And then we're looking at Atlantic Canada, where we have some snow on the way for you in Nova Scotia. Could be about 5 centimeters for Yarmouth, a little bit less for Halifax. An additional 5 to 10 for St. John's, where we have already picked up at least 30 centimeters of snow since yesterday. Western Shores also seeing snow.
The Warm Weather Report is brought to you by Texas. Amazing scenery, inspiring art, or a chance to play cowboy. Whatever your adventure, start planning it at TravelTex.com.
All right, so we'll take a look at Texas, but if you're flying out on Wednesday of Toronto, we're going to see just some light flurries, -3 for that daytime high. Montreal -9 with sunshine. Looking towards Winnipeg -12, and that is your high, and it is going to be a soggy Wednesday through the end of the week for Vancouver and much of the West. Tuesday afternoon in Austin's getting up to 16, not too bad. Dallas getting up to 11 degrees and Houston 20. On Wednesday, we will see some showers in the Houston area with a high of 20.
Much thicker and gooier. The only way the gases can escape this higher viscosity magma is by blowing its way out. And finally,
well, we know there are awesome hills to ski on in BC, and we've got some fresh powder coming for you this week, particularly Wednesday into Thursday, where Whistler, for example, will pick up just on Thursday about 25 centimeters. But by the end of the week, hefty amount of snow towards the west. It'll be rain for Vancouver. And in Ontario, ski hills also getting some snow. We already saw some yesterday through to Wednesday. Along the shores of Huron, we could see 5 to 10 centimeters towards places like Hamilton. Just a trace amount for you, and it winds down today. Well, we know there are awesome hills to ski on in BC, and we've got some fresh powder coming for you this week, particularly Wednesday into Thursday, where Whistler, for example, will pick up just on Thursday about 25 centimeters. But by the end of the week, hefty amount of snow towards the west. It'll be rain for Vancouver. And in Ontario, ski hills also getting some snow. We already saw some yesterday through to Wednesday. Along the shores of Huron, we could see 5 to 10 centimeters towards places like Hamilton. Just a trace amount for you, and it winds down today. Glad you could join us on this Tuesday. I'm meteorologist Nicole Karkic. Top stories we're following. The next major storm is tracking east. We're following it. It's out in the Pacific right now. We'll show you where it's headed. Cold east, warming west, and the long-range outlook coming up at 53 past the hour. We'll take a look at the rest of the week and really give you details on what to watch out for. But currently, it's -7 in Calgary, -22 without the wind chill in Winnipeg, -12 in Toronto. Halifax is -8 with a few flurries, and you're going to pick up a few centimeters of snow in parts of Nova Scotia, but certainly not what we saw here in some 60 centimeters of snow was reported. Now, these are from people who got out there and measured it, but that was one of the hardest hit areas. There were highways closed in the region, and that snow even got down to the Toronto area as well. Currently, it's -18 in Ottawa, -12 in Fredericton, where we are seeing some snow, and we're going to continue to see that snow in parts of the Maritimes today, but no warnings in place. We still have a few warnings for snow squall watches and warnings. Woodstock, Oxford, and Brant concern concern. You can still see that band with those northwesterly winds coming across of Huron and Georgian Bay around Barrie and Aurelia. We'll still see those squalls for your morning. So that's the two areas of concern. It is winding down, though. That is certainly the good news. An additional 5 to 10 on the high end, and the morning temperatures, it is a brisk start to the day. Coming up, more details on the storm we're seeing in Newfoundland. Maybe you're headed to the Bahamas on Wednesday. If you have a stopover in any city in the U.S., here's a look at Wednesday. Boston -1, clear conditions. New York clear as well for now. Things get messy, though, on Thursday. Denver 7. Los Angeles is seeing some rain showers Wednesday and into Thursday. But how about this? NASA is getting up to 21 degrees on Wednesday. We are seeing a bit of cloud cover, but if you're headed to Kingston, 29 with some showers. Santiago getting up to 31 with clear skies. Picked up 31 centimeters of snow. We have some school closures in Newfoundland for this morning. There are going to be some updates later today, so closed possibly, but that might be reopening later today. Check your school district. Currently, it's -4 in St. John's. Things certainly have wound down there, but we do have some snow falling across Nova Scotia as well as Cape Breton Island. Halifax -8 with the snow on tap for you, and it's fairly light in through New Brunswick here. Halifax could see just about 5 centimeters of snow or under 5 centimeters through the day, and then there's that snow that's going to track into St. John's as the day goes on, but this is nothing like what you saw yesterday. It's just going to be a few centimeters into the afternoon, and these are your afternoon highs. Halifax -7, Sydney will be -8, Yarmouth -7, and for Yarmouth you could actually pick up about 4 centimeters of snow, but look at this, a general 2 to 5 across Nova Scotia and New Brunswick. A little bit more for the western shores of Newfoundland, 5 to 15 centimeters potentially for you, and additional snowfall. This is through Wednesday, so it's what's coming later today. You could see an additional 5 to 10 for the Avalon. Let's take you to Quebec, where, and for today, daytime highs pretty chilly. We've got Montreal at -15, Quebec City -15, but you know what? This time of year, in the middle of January, is when parts of southern Quebec and southern Ontario and the Atlantic region are dealing with the coldest temperatures of the year, based on climatology. So that makes sense, but we're certainly below average. This afternoon, Montreal -10, Gatineau will be -10 as well. And we've got a little bit of powder here for you. Through the Gaspé Peninsula, more snow than, say, Montreal. Montreal, just maybe a few flurries today. And into Wednesday, we're going to see lots of sunshine. That doesn't keep the heat in, so it might even be a little bit cooler for you with the wind chill into the afternoon hours. So the lake effect snow in Ontario was a big story yesterday. Still is this morning if you're in Goderich towards Woodstock, where snow squall warnings are in place, but it is starting to lax as the day goes on. Also, Barrie and the Midland region have the snow squall watch in place. So we could see a few centimeters for you for that morning commute. Be careful on the roadways. And coming up right now, we've got details on your local forecast, which will take you through the week. But that could have been somewhere in southern Ontario yesterday. We had those lake effect snow squalls. Glad you could join us this morning. I'm meteorologist Nicole Karkic. Jumping ahead to the long range forecast, I want to look at something that's developing into Thursday. But first up, Wednesday morning for Labrador, we're going to see a heavy amount of snow for Postville, for Hopedale to Nain, possibly 25 centimeters in the Postville region. So that's one storm to watch. Wednesday in southern Ontario, some light snow through the Greater Toronto region. The lake effect engine is winding down today, but on Thursday there's going a little bit of an interesting system that's developing here. It's coming up along the eastern seaboard, dropping heavy amount of snow for places like Washington, possibly New York. It's really depending on the track. New York could see rain or it could see snow, and it could be a lot of it. And then by the end of the weekend, it's going to track towards Atlantic Canada if it stays on track for one of the models that it's showing. So this is something that we're watching certainly for you out east. Now, St. John's, Newfoundland, you picked up 31 centimeters of snow yesterday. Some light snow through today, but things are wrapping up. -2 for that high. Thursday, you're -1, and into the weekend, -4 on your Saturday. For Halifax right now, looks like by Sunday, you're going to see that snow moving into the area. All right, glad you could join us. Speaking of nor'easters, we're tracking one, and we'll tell you where it looks like right now and what's going on in the long range. Snow eases, cold lingers, next significant storm, and yes, the long range outlook for sure. Looking at our current conditions, -7 in Calgary, -12 in Regina, Winnipeg, that's -22 without the wind chill, -12 in Toronto, chilly start. In Halifax, you're seeing some light snow this morning. That will continue through the afternoon hours, and we take you to Ontario, where we definitely have have been seeing some cool conditions for today. Ottawa at -18. Here are the snow squalls that are still going on. We've got areas like Woodstock, Oxford, Brant in a snow squall warning. So that's where that vicinity is with those northwesterly winds. Also around Barrie and Midland, seeing those northwest winds coming off of Georgian Bay. So some snow squalls there, but it is starting to really ease. It is lessening from what happened yesterday. Certainly not as bad. I anticipate this dropping in the next little while, but let's say about 5 to 10 centimeters on top of what you've already seen. That would be on the high end. Towards areas south of Hamilton could see a trace amount. But the good news is the winds really lessen and ease for tomorrow. But this morning, it is a chilly start up towards Timmins, -13, Moosonee, -11. But this is expected this time of year. Climatologically speaking, in Ontario, this is when we're seeing our coldest temperatures of the year. So, yep, there it is. St. John's Airport, 31 centimeters of snow. That's as of 3 a.m. local time. And we still could see a little bit of snow today, but it's certainly winding down. We take a look here at what was falling. And Chris Murphy joining us with, I imagine that's Newfoundland? Time now for Share Your Weather. First up, I'm going to head to a photo that I found on our website, theweathernetwork.com, and I think it's pretty cool. It's pretty spectacular. Take you back, actually, right here. Didn't spend long enough on that photo. We'll take you here. There we go. A little trouble with my clicker. Lake Louise, Alberta. Look at this ice sculpture with the mountains off in the distance. So pretty cool shot sent to our website. As for Lake Louise today, we're going to see temperatures that are, kind of around seasonal for this time of year. Let's face it, it's January. -5, feeling closer to about -9 when we factor in the wind chill. And there is about a centimeter of snow on tap for Lake Louise as we head into tomorrow. Now out west as well, we've got some snow here in Nelson, BC. There's some more snow on the way for Thursday. Getting some fresh powder for those ski hills. It's been a good season so far in the west. This is in Nova Scotia. Brock Smith was the name on our website that sent this in. This was taken actually back in November, but I thought the colors were really cool and spectacular, so I wanted to share that. And then we take you to Yarmouth, Nova Scotia, and this says, looking for a ride to the Halifax airport. Well, certainly today in Halifax, that snow is going to be sticking around, and there's more to come, about 2 to 4 centimeters in the area. We take you to this quick shot in Montreal, and then the cold winds of winter have arrived. This is a tweet with a lot of cool pictures sent to our website as well. Yeah, it is certainly a cold start. Thanks so much, Kevin. It took half my drive into work for my car to finally heat up. Looking back at yesterday, just as a few images of the squalls that were coming off of Georgian Bay as well as Lake Huron. So using the hashtag #ONStorm, we found a few images here. That truck barreling through, and many people had some tough travel. Pretty here, though, in Huntsville. Looking at the radar, the archived radar, you can see this band coming off of Huron between Goderich and Port Elgin was just persistent. It kept going and going and going. It kind of meandered in and around the Hamilton and Toronto area. I certainly saw some squalls in the morning hours in the Toronto region. Barrie got some as well, but the most impressive total we have heard so far is just northeast of Kincardine. There were reports of 60 centimeters of snow. So yes, we still have some snow squall watches and warnings in place. It is starting to lessen, though. The winds are starting to lax a bit, but certainly Goderich over towards Woodstock, Waterloo, as well as off Georgian Bay, we've got Barrie and Midland dealing with the snow squalls. Still have those northwest winds, but by the end of the day, this eases, and temperatures will rebound by the end of the week. Currently, -12 in Toronto. Timmins is -15. Sudbury, -23 with some flurries. Zoomed in look here. Peterborough is -18 at this hour, and Huntsville is seeing some flurries and some squalls in the vicinity. So look at this. Doesn't look as impressive as yesterday, but certainly if you're traveling on Highway 21 and north on the Highway 400, sort of around the Barrie region, you are going to see the whiteout conditions, which can make things certainly go slow, even if a lot of snow isn't falling. This afternoon, Toronto will be -4, feeling closer to -12. Ottawa will feel closer to -19, and over towards Montreal, it's -10 this afternoon.
Copious amounts of snow has fallen recently.
It's genius.
I love it.
It's genius.
You bet.
Okay, top stories. Next major storm tracks to the east. We'll show you when. Cold east, warming west, and that long-range outlook as well.
Absolutely. All right, so just archiving the radar from yesterday, this vicious squall just ripping across the landscape from Lake Huron. That was the dominant squall, and it dropped about 60 centimeters of snow in the Wingham area.
Yeah, exactly. We still have some warnings in place around Goderich. Woodstock is in a snow squall watch. Waterloo blue warning, Barrie, Midland as well. So off of Georgian Bay and Huron, still seeing the squalls, Chris, but a general 5 to 10 on the high end.
Yeah, certainly easing compared to yesterday. That is certainly some good news. And there is there's the snowfall. So the Avalon, about 30 to 40 centimeters. So let's track about what's coming next, because if you have plans in the U.S. Northeast, you really want to pay attention here.
Right, so this Gulf moisture is going to really help out this low pressure system move up along the eastern seaboard. Looking at the biggest snowfall of the season, potentially for places like Washington, D.C. and New York. If it tracks further inland, though, it could be rain, Chris.
At this point, it looks like it's going to miss southern Ontario, and then, of course, for the weekend, this storm will likely have a big impact on Atlantic Canada.
Right, but the energy is still offshore, so as the week goes on, we'll have a better handle on this system. All right, that's Kevin Yard in Toronto. We will get back to Kevin in a moment. Or we're back to, there we go, back online here. Glad you could join us. I'm meteorologist Nicole Karkic. Looking at our radar returns here, we still have some northwest winds coming off of Huron and Georgian Bay. Nothing like what we saw yesterday, but if you're in Kincardine toward Goderich, look at Highway 21, certainly whiteout conditions at this hour. Towards Woodstock, we're seeing some snow bands, and just around the Barrie Midland area too, coming off of Georgian Bay. But the winds are starting to weaken, and certainly into tomorrow, we're going to see better conditions. Toronto -4 this afternoon, Ottawa -10, feeling closer to -19. So yeah, these numbers kind of look scary, but around this time of year, this week in January is when parts of Ontario and Quebec in the east actually have their coldest temperatures of the year. So this makes sense. Looking at Montreal, some light flurries in the area. Things are winding down. Yesterday, you picked up 9 centimeters of snow. Not seeing that today at all. And in fact, tomorrow, you're going to get some sunshine. Sunshine into today in southern Ontario, and tomorrow, a quick blast of snow. It looks a little bit more menacing than it actually is. It'll just be a dusting for, say, Toronto. Let's take you to this right here. Yeah, you need gloves when you're using your phone, don't you? You need those special ones there you can touch the phone. That was Montreal when we saw the snow. It really impacted the afternoon commute. And this morning, Montreal's -15, Quebec City's -14. And you could see some snow in the Quebec City region today, about 5 to 10 centimeters. That for Montreal really is just some flurries. And here's your afternoon highs. For the Labrador, storm system moving through, and for tomorrow morning, that's when you'll see the worst of it. Postville, possibly 25 centimeters of snow, but anything colored in this cream color or pinkish color does have some inclement weather on the way, so some strong winds and snow. Here's your afternoon high in St. John's. You saw 30 centimeters of snow yesterday. Your high today is -1 with just a little bit of snow left behind, but things have eased. There are, however, some school closures or at least some delayed starts in Newfoundland that I've seen online. Halifax -8 this afternoon, Yarmouth -7. You'll pick up about 4 centimeters of snow in Yarmouth. Halifax about 2 to 5 centimeters through the day. The western shores of Newfoundland certainly seeing some snow as well. Valerie, okay, now I know you're drooling. All right, certainly is cold out there. Top stories that we're following. Snow eases, but the cold lingers. We'll talk about the next significant storm to follow, especially in the east, and our long-range outlook as well. Coming up, we'll have a countdown for you to your locals on the 6s. Our radar returns showing some light snow passing through Nova Scotia. Things have certainly eased across Newfoundland, but there are some late starts for schools and maybe some closures as well that you want to check on. Southern Ontario dealing with some snow squalls, and for the Montreal area, some blowing snow at the airport at this point. A little bit of trough swinging through the city and Quebec City as well. So these are our snow squall watches and warnings. Anything shaded in a color right here has those northwest winds that will bring you some whiteout conditions at times today. However, the good news is the winds lax as the day goes on. So the morning commute much worse in that vicinity than the afternoon, and then we've got some high pressure pushing into place. On Wednesday, a little quick shot of snow comes through Windsor and Toronto in the afternoon hours. Looks a little bit more pessimistic than it is. This should probably just be a dusting for many communities in southern Ontario. This was certainly not a dusting. St. John's, 31 centimeters of snow yesterday. The Avalon Peninsula, 30 to 40 centimeters there. So we still have additional snowfall, even though it's winding down through the Avalon. Western shores of Newfoundland today, 5 to 15. Yarmouth, 2 to 5. Halifax, a little bit of snow on tap for you as well. But it is January. We do expect this. Chris Murphy joining us right now. And I know you have a picture from Ontario yesterday.
Yeah, well,
Time now for Share Your Weather. Keep sending us your photos and videos of active weather or beautiful weather in the winter, and then we'll show them on the morning show and give you a personalized forecast. We take you to Lake Louise, Alberta, and this was an ice sculpture that was sent to our website, theweathernetwork.com. I found it. I thought it was pretty cool looking. And for the afternoon hours in Lake Louise, you can get out there and do some ice sculptures again. It's going to be below the freezing mark. It is January after all. -5, feeling closer to -9 when you factor in the wind chill. Another shot here out west. Nelson, BC. Ski hills have been very busy. A great season so far out west. And for Whistler, I want to mention that on Thursday alone, you're going to see 25 centimeters of snow. So Nelson, certainly some more fresh snow on the way for you too. Nova Scotia, this was actually captured a few weeks ago by Brock Smith. That was the name on our website. But I thought the colors were really cool and pretty spectacular shot right here. We take you to Yarmouth, Nova Scotia. This was shot January 17th, and it says, looking for a ride to the Halifax airport. Not melting on the way, and today, yep, Halifax, a little bit more snow for you as well. This was a tweet that we found. The cold winds of winter has arrived. This is in Norfolk County in Ontario, and you can see when it's clear and sunny outside and cold, it's still pretty nice out there. How can you send us your photos? Well, I'm at Nicole Karkic. That's my Twitter account. We've got our Facebook account, and I also have an Instagram account where you can contact me as well. I know, I just can't even seem to warm up even though I'm inside. Thanks so much, Kevin. Chilly start in southern Ontario. This was yesterday from our storm hunter, Mark Robinson. He was with Jacqueline Whittle. They were chasing down the snow squalls in Ontario. He saw this bike and he said, yeah, no one's taking this out until maybe spring. So lots of snow. There was actually an area just northeast of Kincardine that picked up 60 centimeters of snow with these squalls. And the squalls right now, what's left behind is still some brisk northwest winds coming off of Georgian Bay. So in the Barrie area, Midland as well. Goderich, Kincardine, still seeing some whiteout conditions along Highway 21 and over towards Woodstock as well as Brant, Oxford. You could be seeing those squalls as well, but certainly not like what we saw yesterday. This will bring about 5 to 10 centimeters through the morning, and then it eases as the day goes on. Currently, look at our temperatures here. Thunder Bay -23, that stands out. Towards Ottawa, -18, that's without the wind chill. You're seeing some light flurries, and in fact, around Ottawa towards Montreal, there's been reports of some blowing and drifting snow just with a trough swinging through the region. This afternoon, Montreal will get up to -10. Quebec City will be -9. And there is a storm for Labrador that has some special weather statements and warnings with it. Postville could see 25 centimeters, really impacting the morning. And anything in cream or pink will also see those strong winds and snow as well. Speaking of snow, St. John's, Newfoundland, 31 centimeters yesterday. There are some delayed starts for schools or even some schools closures. So you want to check for that through the Avalon Peninsula. And we're going to see some more snow through the Avalon, but just not as much as yesterday.
Back here at home, developing stories. Next storm impacts travel, especially in the U.S. Northeast. We'll talk about that. Storm brewing in the Pacific and a long-range outlook as well.
That's right. So right now, in the short term, we still have an additional 5 to 10 centimeters around Kincardine, Goderich, certainly around Waterloo as well. And just north of Barrie along the 400, could be seeing some snow squalls too.
Not as rough as yesterday, but still some locally poor visibility. And still getting some squalls off the Bay of Fundy between Halifax and Truro, and also additional snow for Newfoundland, but not likely an encore performance for St. John's.
Certainly not. Here is the storm we're watching.
Yes.
Everyone's watching it, in fact. Maybe you've heard a nor'easter is going to impact the East Coast, still following it along to see who gets snow and rain. But for the Maritime provinces, this looks like a weekend storm.
Yeah, this is going to be a flight grounder, likely, for some of the big cities in the U.S. Northeast. So keep that in mind. Keeping track of a storm system in the Pacific. Now, this is going to roll in Wednesday night, Thursday, and this is going to bring mountain snow, strong winds, likely warnings, and periods of heavy rain. But the beneficiaries of all this, Nicole, will be east of the Rockies. Take a look at Friday's temperatures.
I know, mild air in place here. We've got Calgary at +2. We've got Regina at 2 degrees. Winnipeg -12, but that will be warmer than what you're dealing with today.
All right, getting your local fix on the 6, your local specifics right now.
All right, so yeah, it doesn't look too bad, but when you step outside, it is frigid for parts of the east. We've got Toronto this afternoon getting up to -4, but this morning feeling closer to the -20s. Montreal -10 for that high. St. John's -1, and Winnipeg, yeah, -17 only this afternoon. Calgary around the freezing mark. You certainly warmed up yesterday, and into today, not too bad. For Ontario, the lake effect snow squalls are going to ease as the day goes on. But if you are in Woodstock, Oxford, Kincardine, Goderich, Still seeing some squalls and around the Barrie Midland area too. But this takes us to later in the day, and this certainly shows things easing. Winds will shift direction and high pressure comes into place. However, for Wednesday afternoon and evening, we do see a little shot of snow coming through southern Ontario, the greater Toronto area getting hit with this, but it's just going to be a light dusting of snow for us tomorrow. Our website, theweathernetwork.com, certainly some stormy weather this week in Quebec. Montreal's dealing with some blowing snow this morning, certainly at the airport. That's been recorded for the past few hours. For the afternoon, -10, but we won't see as much snow as we saw yesterday, which was 9 centimeters for Montreal. Quebec City, -9 for you this afternoon, and towards the east, we do have some snow falling already in Nova Scotia. The big snow happened yesterday in Newfoundland. 31 centimeters for St. John's. And there are some late starts for schools in Newfoundland and some closures. As the day goes on, the Avalon will see a little bit more snow, about 5 to 10 centimeters. Nothing like what you saw yesterday. Western Shores, some sea-enhanced snow. Yarmouth, 2 to 5 centimeters. Halifax, 2 to 5 as well for you. And then things start to clear out as we head into your Wednesday. Right now, check out your locals on the 6s. In Ontario, still have some lake effect snow bands to contend with for the morning commute, particularly Kincardine towards Goderich, even Waterloo. An additional 5 to 10, and that would be on the high end. As for Hamilton, you could see trace amounts through your Wednesday. And then we're looking at Atlantic Canada, where we have some snow on the way for you in Nova Scotia. Could be about 5 centimeters for Yarmouth, a little bit less for Halifax. An additional 5 to 10 for St. John's, where we have already picked up at least 30 centimeters of snow since yesterday. Western Shores also seeing snow. All right, I'm willing to have oysters with champagne to make me feel better. Glad you could join us this morning. I'm meteorologist Nicole Karkic. Top stories, snow eases, cold lingers, though. Next significant storm that we're tracking and the long-range outlook. Things look to get very interesting along the east coast by the end of the week. Right now, we've got some snow moving into the Avalon Peninsula. Not like what you saw yesterday. There is some light snow across Nova Scotia as well. Blowing snow in Montreal, and southern Ontario still has some lake effect snow squall watches and warnings. Not as bad as yesterday. Yesterday there was a region just northeast of Kincardine that saw 60 centimeters of snow. So yeah, not dealing with that today, but Goderich, Kincardine down over towards Woodstock, Waterloo, and then over towards Barrie and Midland. Those are the regions that are dealing with squalls coming off of Lake Huron as well as Georgian Bay, and an additional 5 to 10 centimeters will occur on the high end. And then by the end of the day, it starts to clear out. In fact, we've got some sunshine for places like Toronto and Ottawa by the afternoon as well. Some light snow there, though, through Quebec, as you can see. And then tomorrow, a little bit of snow comes through with a trough around Windsor and Toronto into the afternoon. So the commute home could be a little bit slick, but this looks a little bit more pessimistic than it is. We're just going to see probably a dusting in places like Toronto, but this was more than a dusting. 31 centimeters in St. John's yesterday. The Avalon 30 to 40 centimeters, so it really depended on exactly where you were, but this is the additional snow that we have through today. And note the western shores of Newfoundland seeing that sea-enhanced snow. There are some school closures and late starts today for Newfoundland, of course, but that's to be expected. It is mid-January. Of course, Chris Murphy joining us right now. Glad you could join us this morning. I'm meteorologist Nicole Karkic. A quick look at the west here. This afternoon, Vancouver 8 degrees. Kelowna and Nelson getting above the freezing mark. We'll see a rain-snow mix. There's much more wet weather on the way as we head into the overnight hours and into Wednesday. So by the 8 p.m. hour local time, start to see that rain inching in for the lower mainland. And then it starts to ramp up as we follow another system coming through. Wednesday into Thursday, that's where things get a little bit more interesting and much more widespread. Heavy rain will hit places like Vancouver. Whistler will get 25 centimeters of snow on your Thursday. Now this afternoon, Winnipeg just getting up to -17 for the daytime high. Calgary around the freezing mark. So by contrast, Alberta really above average here for your afternoon highs. We've got in the long range forecast warmer temperatures that will spread across not only to Alberta, but we're going to share the wealth. It will no highs and highs above freezing into the Friday for you in the prairies. We've got snow squalls still brewing in parts of southern Ontario. Kevin Yard joining us this morning. A chilly start. Kevin, it took half my drive into work for my car to heat up today.
The studio. Okay, now you can go get warm. There you go.
All right, loved her hat too. Looking at this, we still have the snow squalls, but not like what we saw yesterday. Notice though, Kincardine to Goderich still getting that band off of Huron, an additional 5 to 10 centimeters, and also around the Barrie area, just with those squalls off of Georgian Bay. But the winds are starting to really lax into tomorrow. Still have some snow for you in the Avalon, less than yesterday too, about 5 to 10 centimeters through today. Glad you could join us this morning. I'm meteorologist Nicole Karkic. A quick look at the west here. This afternoon, Vancouver, 8 degrees. Another system coming through Wednesday into Thursday. That's where things get a little bit more interesting and much more widespread. Heavy rain will hit places like Vancouver, Whistler,
or a chance to play cowboy. Whatever your adventure, start planning it at traveltex.com.
All right, so we'll take a look at Texas, but if you're flying out on Wednesday of Toronto, we're going to see just some light flurries, -3 for that daytime high. Montreal, -9 with sunshine. Looking towards Winnipeg, -12, and that is your high, and it is going to be a soggy Wednesday through the end of the week for Vancouver and much of the west. Tuesday afternoon in Austin's getting up to 16, not too bad. Dallas getting up to 11 degrees, and Houston 20. On Wednesday, we will see some showers in the Houston area with a high of 20.
This weather segment has been brought to you by Fisherman's Friend. For relief in Suck It Up.